Welcome to Travel Talk, filmed at the Peachtree Rose Marketing Studios and hosted by the hotel guide publisher, Edward Leos.
Good afternoon, everybody. Edward Leos here, publisher of the Hotel Guide and your host for Travel Talk. I'm real excited about having my guest on today. It's a concept that I had never heard of, and it kind of came onto my doorstep. And I really am excited to learn a little bit more about Sahara and the Travel Coach Network. But happy to have you on the show today, Sahara.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
No, it's going to be a fun one. Looking at your bio and looking at what you're doing, I think it's just an amazing story. So why don't we get to that? I know my guests, I know my readers and listeners always love to know, well, who the heck are you interviewing, who you're talking to, Edward. So Sarah, tell me a little bit about your background and kind of how you got to where you are now with the Travel Coach Network, and then we'll dive into that business side of things as well.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, so I grew up in a family that didn't travel very much. No one traveled for business. My extent of traveling was in the family van from our home state of Wisconsin down to southern Texas and over the border to Mexico, which is where my grandmother was from Mexico. I remember bits and pieces of that. I was so young. And same thing up to the French region of Canada for my grandfather's family. But that was travel was just something I never thought of. I thought travel was going to be something like many people do. It's too expensive. It's only something you do once a year. It didn't cross my mind. It wasn't until high school I heard about this thing called backpacking Europe. And so my best friend and I at the time were like, let's go backpack Europe, take a year off before we go to college. Yeah, of course that didn't happen. We went to college. But I was never someone who knew what I wanted to do for a career. I wasn't like my friends who knew that they wanted to be teachers or doctors or whatever it might be. So I play around with different degrees and different topics when I first started university. And it wasn't until my third year university, I was actually changing schools from Arizona back to the Midwest and to Chicago. And I came across a hospitality and tourism management program. And I was like, hey, travel. Who doesn't want to travel, right?
Yep.
So I joined that program, and it was on the very first day of my international course that I met all these foreign exchange students. I heard about how easy it was that they could travel throughout Europe and Southeast Asia and how many countries they've been to. And something inside me was like, I want to do that. I want to be able to go visit these places. But there I sat as a broke college student figuring out how I can barely afford my rent. How can I do that? So I was able to change my money mindset. And 2 years later, I saved enough money. I booked a one-way ticket to Ireland in 2010. And I thought I was going to go for a month and a half. Turned out that I got bit by the travel bug, as many people do. And I fell in love with travel. And I spent the next decade traveling to 84 countries around the world. And it was during that decade-long journey, I learned a lot about the travel industry. I witnessed a lot that the travel industry, the impact it had from social media, the impact that it had from technology. And I still struggled for almost the entire decade to figure out what can I do with my passion for travel. And when I realized that at the age of 30, I was going to have to figure out and start my own business because I didn't find what I was looking for, because I never wanted to be a travel agent or a flight attendant or worker in, for an airline or anything like that. And I realized that it was going to have to be something I created, and started figuring out how to start an online business. What are people doing? Came across the coaching industry, and that's what clicked. And I said, I want to be a travel coach. And that was the beginning of where I am now.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. I love the background that you brought to the table. And like I said, stumbling onto the industry, kind of the same thing in my end. We were just talking offline about the hotel guide and how that all happened for me. So the Travel Coach Network, people are going to ask, well, what's a travel coach?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the business and what a travel coach is?
Yeah. So when we hear words like or terms like a travel business or anyone in the travel industry, our minds automatically go to a travel agent, right? It's what we're very familiar with. It's the role that just evolved over time. But a travel coach is not a travel agent by definition. Under the Travel Coach Network, a travel coach helps people set intentions for their trips, bring awareness to why they want to travel, and help people use travel as a tool or a medium for things like transformation, healing, self-discovery, human connection or whatever personal or professional goals that they have. So travel coaching really brings to the surface those motivations for why we travel and helps people achieve those benefits that travel can do for us. But with that said, there are many travel agents who are also travel coaches. They
Mhm.
combine the both in the Travel Coach Network.
So if somebody's looking to utilize the services of a travel coach, what does that process kind of look like? Hey, Edward's traveling to New Zealand, and where does that process begin, and what does that kind of look like for someone?
Yeah. So in the world of travel coaching, what I talk about is something called destination or experience matching. So we're kind of flipping the script when it comes to where to go and what to do on a trip. Usually, when a person comes to a travel coach, they may not know exactly where to go or what to do on
Yeah.
their trip. Just like if you go to a travel agent, you kind of want to pick their brain. Where should I go? This is what I like to do, whatnot. But when it comes to travel coaches, it's really about understanding what that individual is looking for out of an experience, or how are they feeling, what is calling them to want to get away, what are they, if they want to go on an escape, what are they escaping from, right? What are they running towards? So really, how do we want this trip to make us feel pre, during, and post trip? And therefore, the travel coach is able to provide recommendations and insight and ideas and guidance on the types of destinations or the types of experiences people should have that could help them reach those specific goals and desires and aspirations. For example, so maybe someone needs to spend more time in nature. Maybe
Mhm.
they are healing from the loss of a loved one, or they have gone through a big life transition like an empty nester or divorce, and they need time to self-reflect on their next steps in life and find their own purpose and their own sense of happiness again, right? So we know as passionate travelers, travel can do all these things for us,
Mhm.
but only when attention and intention and awareness is brought to the surface.
So when I was looking at the website and getting the information on you, I know you talked about the network itself, but how do you become a certified travel coach so that people know who they're dealing with?
Yeah, so the Travel Coach Network is home to the world's first and only International Coach Federation accredited certification program. So we're the place that trains, educates, and certifies travel coaches around the world. We have
Wow.
travel coaches in 40 plus countries, but we have a global community that everyone connects with one another.
Wow. How many coaches do you have right now?
In our
Roughly.
certification program, we have about 557. It grows by the day.
Yeah.
But then even in our free Facebook community, our Travel Coach Global community, we have just under 4,000 members.
Wow, that's amazing. So if somebody's going to the Travel Coach Network and utilizing the services, do they get matched up with someone, or how does that go about if I want to try and find the right person?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we are actually building the first and largest database, searchable database of travel coaches. So if you go to hiretravelcoach.com, you could find it's in its beta mode still, but that is a way for travelers to put in very specific details about themselves, like grief or loss or
Mm.
divorce or heartbreak or empty nesters or whatever, or maybe it's a certain destination they're looking for, and the system will help populate the travel coaches in our database that are created profiles so far. And so we already know that there are travelers who have worked with some of our coaches through our beta test database, but we're excited for that to grow. But outside of that, our whole world of travel coaches have helped people have transformative experiences. So finding ones that are specific to what you are looking for, because travel coaches focus in so many different
Yeah.
niches.
Yeah, definitely. So I love what y'all are doing. It's so incredible to see something so unique and come from everything that you did in your personal journeys. So let's switch a little to that personal side. And you've been to a lot of places. But why don't you tell our readers or listeners a couple of your favorite destinations, and then we'll chat about some of your bucket list items.
Yeah. So a place that I was drawn back to over and over again. Well, first of all, the region Southeast Asia. I
Mhm.
just absolutely love Southeast Asia and so many places within there. But Thailand is a place that I would call home many times throughout
Wow.
my travels. In particular, the old Phuket town area. But the Philippines is another place that I hold near and dear to my heart. I was actually there for the first time right after the super typhoon hit years ago.
Mhm.
And I went and found an island where a couple volunteers were helping out and asked if I can help out. And I lived there for a month, but I went 2 years later to the same exact island and saw how much it improved, and there was tourism now, and the people were just the people in the Philippines are just absolutely amazing. And plus I just love the food and the
Oh
culture
yeah.
and the vibe and the weather, and the beaches are absolutely stunning. Has great place for snorkeling and diving in the Philippines. It's a very underrated destination.
Yeah.
But those are two of my favorite places.
To your favorite places. So let's jump ahead and talk a little bit about some bucket list items. Any of those that you still have to try and attain?
Yeah, I think, and I always say this, it would be really cool to go to Antarctica one day just to say I've been to all seven
Yeah.
continents. So that is definitely on my bucket list. But a place I would really love to go to Jordan. When I was in the Middle East, I was going to make my way over there. But another country that is always been on my radar because of how beautiful it sounds in the pictures I see is the country of Georgia.
Oh, okay. What's drawing you to Georgia?
I'm an artist at heart. And so
Yeah.
I do a lot of paintings and especially about mountains and landscapes. And the videos, the footage, the pictures I've seen of Georgia are just these vast, beautiful mountains. So that's a place that I'm just like, I think it'd be really just fun and cool to go there.
Yeah, it just draws you the creative side. I'm
Yeah.
with you on that creative side. I'm creative at heart too. So okay, so we got a few more minutes here. I think it's always important for people to know how they can best find you, whether it's your website or socials. But they want to learn more about not only maybe becoming a travel coach, being certified, but also maybe utilizing the services of the Travel Coach Network.
Yeah, so you can find all of our information on the travelcoachnetwork.com, or you can find and follow us on the Travel Coach Network on Facebook, Instagram, and across all of the social channels. You can find myself. I'm Sahara Rose, the travel coach, across all the platforms as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I know you got a lot going on as well. So we have another minute or so, but any big plans, anything that you have coming up for the Travel Coach Network going into 2025 that you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of things that we have been working on for quite some time. I think 2025 is probably going to be our biggest year yet.
Great.
But one of the projects that we are really excited about is that we're going to be translating our flagship program into multiple languages and starting
Cool.
with Spanish. So that is going to be launching very soon. But yeah, there's just a lot of really exciting projects that we have in store.
Oh, well, I'm excited to hear more about those. We talked about it offline a little bit. You have such a great background in what you're doing with the Travel Coach Network that I know we'll probably have you guys back or have you back on the podcast and give us some updates, especially as you're launching some new initiatives. And so who knows, maybe there's some sort of alignment between the Hotel Guide and the Travel Coach Network and kind of doing the same thing to help make this world a little better place for everybody.
Wonderful. Absolutely. I'm happy to chat with you about it.
But I want to thank you for being on the podcast today. It's been an absolute pleasure giving our guests a little tidbit into your life personally, but also to the professional side of the Travel Coach Network.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Perfect. To all our guests, to our listeners, everyone out there, obviously follow us at thehotelguide.com. Click like, click subscribe, share this, and actually go to the website for the Travel Coach Network. It's something that's unique. It's something I hadn't heard of, but I was very intrigued, and I'm really happy to share this with our readers and listeners because it's something that I think everybody could be utilizing. Experiential travel is one of the top tiers, if you will, for travel up and coming, and this hits it right on the head here. So Sahara, thank you for everything you're doing. And for all of our listeners out there, as I always like to say, travel, make memories. And until next time, everybody take care.